to another episode with Adam the Beekeeper. Today is Saturday, May 2nd. We got a couple of things that we want to do today. One, just out of pure curiosity, I want to take a look at these Nucleus hives, see if they're doing anything. We put a queen cell in the far one over there. This one just had some eggs and brood, so we'll take a look and see if they're doing anything. It's been about 9 days. The other thing that we want to do is just take a look, a general inspection through both these hives. It is swarming season, and what swarming is just when the bees decide to split the hive basically in half. The queen will shrink down in size, and it'll take about half of the hive with her, and they'll fly out and they'll start a brand new colony. They'll leave the old colony behind. It's just a survival technique. So we're in the middle of that swarming season right now, and I just want to see if either of these hives are starting to make queen cells. I don't expect this one to be, just out of the sheer fact that we added a queen very late in the season. So we're definitely going to take a look at the far hive over there. So with that, let's go ahead and dig in and see what we find out. All right, excellent. So what we see here, we've actually got a queen cell that's being started right now. That's perfect. It's not a swarm cell. It's more of what we call a supersedure cell, so it's an emergency cell. And you can tell if they're emergency cells based on them being in the top, really 3/4 of the frame, whereas swarm cells are usually down below and they make better queens. So we're just, kind of doing this for fun, so this is okay for us right now. But you can see right here where these bees are at. See if we can move some out of the way. Right here, this is our queen cup, so that's perfect. It's not capped. They are in there feeding it right now. And there is that royal jelly in there, so this is great. So we'll go ahead and keep feeding. This is just a 32-ounce mason jar that I drilled a hole in and put some brake line. I soldered it to the top of the lid. And what it does is it creates that vacuum effect that we're looking for. So when that vacuum forms up here, the bees can just drink it out by coming up to it here. We put just a small hole in the top, and it just sits on there right like that. I'll post a video link here, and that will show you where I got this idea from. A guy, JC's Bees, did a very good tutorial on how to make these. The one lessons learned that I take away from this is use the kind of standard brake line. I used 1/4-inch brake line. It was way too big. It kept leaking inside of the hive, so that's my only real update to his video there. All right, so that queen cell's right here. It's still capped. We would expect this to be opening up in the next 1 to 2 days, I would say. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. So we are in swarming season right now. It's the first weekend in May. We're going to go ahead and check both of these hives for swarm cells. I expect to maybe find something in the first hive there, just because they've been really gangbusting so far. I don't expect to find much inside of this hive for the sheer reason of we didn't have a queen till about 2 weeks ago. So we'll go ahead and dig in and look for some of those swarm cells now. So you can see here I've got the hive body flipped up on its side. One of the things I've seen commercial beekeepers do, just to be very quick, is they'll just peek underneath. So they'll lift up the hive body right on top of the hive, and they'll just look to see if they see any swarm cells. So we talked earlier, a swarm cell typically hangs off of the bottom of the frame. They produce larger queens, better queens, whereas we have a supersedure cell as well, which is what's called like an emergency cell. They're usually on the top at 3/4 of the frame. So in swarming season, we expect them to be on the bottom. And just to give you a representation, this is what we can see. I've got a frame here. And we can see really quickly that we've actually got about 5 queen cups hanging off the bottom of this right now. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 here. So this is what we would expect to see in the middle of a swarm season. So I'll pull the camera in so we can take a closer look. And here's a perfect example of that swarm cell that we were looking for. That's where those beekeepers can just take a quick look in and they'll see those capped cells. So we'll probably go ahead and split this and do that artificial swarm, and we'll go through the process to do that now. All right, pretty cool to see those swarm cells inside of here, huh? What we're gonna do to prevent them from swarming is create that artificial swarm. It's really a 2-step process. Step number 1 is we're gonna move the entire hive to a new location. So we'll call hive number 1, we're gonna create a hive number 3 out of hive number 1. The second step to that is we're gonna add a new hive number 1. And we're also going to find the queen inside of here and move it to hive number 1. What this is going to do is it's going to make hive number 1 very bare from a resource perspective, and all of our foraging bees are going to return to hive number 1. They're going to build out comb very quickly, and they're going to believe that they have swarmed because there's really no resources there. Hive number 3, because we've got our swarm cells, they're going to go ahead and create a new queen and just move on with life. So really kind of cool procedure. Let's get in and take a look at how it's done. All right, now we need to find the queen in this box so we can move it back to the original location. Oh wow, look at that on our first frame here. This is perfect. So we'll go ahead and move her to our other deep that we have and create that new hive. We'll just set her aside for now. All right, we've already moved the queen into the other deep box. We're just gonna put a new bottom board here, put that on here. And what we're gonna have to do, because we've got a top entrance, is make sure that we reuse our top entrance because the forager bees know where that's at. So we wanna make sure that we're reusing that. So what we're gonna do to give them the illusion that they have swarmed is just put one frame where the queen was at, and then we've actually just got one more frame in here, and then it's 8 just blank frames. So it's frames that don't have any comb on them or anything. So all the foraging bees will return here and they'll start to build that comb out very quickly, and they're gonna believe they have swarmed. It's perfect. Pretty cool. We just completed an artificial swarm. What'd you think? It's pretty neat to be able to see some of the foraging bees already returning to the top entrance of hive number 1. The other neat thing is that any of the foraging bees that leave hive number 3 here will return to the original location of hive number 1 because that's where they're home to already. It's neat that they think that they have swarmed now, and they're going to continue to build that comb, and we just basically created a new hive. Went from 2 hives at the start of this year to 5 pretty quickly. So I'm very excited. We'll keep an eye on these as we move forward, but thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Here you go again, you can see that queen running around.